Hello again, you're live with BBC News. Let's continue with our business coverage. And in the past half an hour, we've had results from the British online fashion retailer Boohoo, who said its revenues fell by 17% in the 6 months to the end of August, following a slower than expected recovery. So on an underlying basis, if we look at the numbers, its pre-tax, it swung into a pre-tax loss of £9.1 million, from profits of 6.2 million the year before. Well, let's unpack this with retail expert Kate Hardcastle. Good morning, Kate. So it looks like things are not going so well for Boohoo right now. Talk us through what's happening.
It's a really interesting organisation because this is an e-tailer. They have set off live online and that's where they stay. But in the years that they've been launched, the business started 2006, there's been a huge involvement in terms of the amount of competition and of course how consumers are so incredibly fickle. So this is an organisation that understands it has to really try and ensure that it's looking at costs, and it says in this report that it's doing all it can to maintain low prices for customers. It knows that's an essential element of its business model. It's trying to become more lean and more efficient because it again knows consumers want these items faster than ever before, and it's looking into investing in actually where it can to grow the wealth of the brand. And I think that just shows representatively in its latest campaign with Kourtney Kardashian Barker, trying to really appeal to that personality, that celebrity market. But in doing that, in turning this ship around, this fast fashion brand has certainly got a lot of costs to recoup. And I think as well is the reality of the marketplace is biting, that consumers are certainly watching what they buy, and there's a lot of fast fashion choices out there.
There are. The choice is really competitive right now. It's fast fashion, it's pretty cheap, so I imagine its margins are fairly small. How sustainable is Boohoo, and do its customers care about that?
I think the really interesting thing probably to bear in mind about a Boohoo customer and the group as well is that customers that perhaps were in their late teens, early 20s when the brands originated and were the hot new thing are now actually moving to mid 30s and beyond. Their tastes have changed. So that brand has a dual challenge. How do you acquire new customers, keeping it relevant and interesting? How indeed do you keep that fast fashion piece going, particularly when there are calls for sustainability everywhere? And how do you make sure that then perhaps you keep hold of a more maturing customer with their needs and wants? Very difficult to do. And I think they've always been known about that really cheap price model. We know costs have risen consistently across fashion. And whilst again in this report, they allude to the fact that they're holding on to a lower price point, it's just not purely sustainable when businesses have to pay people, keep the lights on and keep going. They've expanded interestingly internationally as well. And I think the development of those brands in territories like the US, it really takes some doing to penetrate and push. So marketing and building the brand will certainly be an area where they've had to invest too.
Yeah, I mean, fashion has changed so much, hasn't it? Especially with COVID, because there's so much competition online now, which is very difficult for Boohoo. But when it comes to the issue of sustainability, that young audience is so keenly aware of this, and they're very much into looking for things that are not necessarily new and the latest. Well, yes, maybe so, but they've been worn by others already.
I'm so glad you flagged that, because I think one of the biggest interesting elements in terms of competition for that younger audience is actually the re-commerce market. It's win-win for them because not only is it an earning potential and opportunity, they're keeping their wardrobe very alive with new tastes and trends, and they actually feel they're actually doing the right thing for the planet too. So we've seen huge growth in those re-commerce platforms, be they the eBays or Vinted or others as well, and even rentals coming into that too. So this isn't just the same marketplace as it was.
It certainly isn't. Kate, thank you. Good to see you. Kate Hardcastle.